The Miami night was sticky, the kind of humid August heat that clung to your skin like regret. I'd just gotten back from a 3-day tech conference in Orlando, my head still buzzing with panels and bad hotel Wi-Fi, when I saw it, a coffee cup on the kitchen counter of our Coconut Grove condo, labeled oat milk latte, extra shot. Sarah didn't drink oat milk, she was a black coffee purist, always teasing me for my fancy pour-overs. I picked up the cup, the cardboard still warm, and checked the name scrawled on the side. Evan. Not hers, not mine, not anyone I knew. I'm not the guy who freaks out over nothing. At 40, I've learned most mysteries have dumb explanations. I'm a software developer, I debug code for a living, finding the glitch before it crashes the system. Sarah and I had been married 6 years, together 9, our life a sleek machine of routines. Her PR firm, my remote gigs, date nights at waterfront bars. But that cup was a bug, a tiny error that didn't compute. I set it down, grabbed a water from the fridge, and stood there, the AC humming, the city's neon glow seeping through the blinds. Maybe a coworker dropped it off, I told myself. Maybe she'd hosted a meeting. But my coder's brain, the one that spots patterns in chaos, was already running diagnostics. Sarah was out when I got home, her text saying she was at a client dinner downtown. She'd been working late a lot lately, her phone lighting up with emails, her planner packed with strategy sessions. I didn't question either job was high stakes, all about whining and dining Miami's elite. But now, that coffee cup was a loose thread, and I'm the guy who pulls. I checked the trash nothing but takeout containers and a crumpled receipt. The cup sat there, mocking me, Evan's name in Sharpie like a middle finger. Sarah came home around 10, her heels clicking on the hardwood, her navy blazer slung over her arm. "Hey, you're back," she said, flashing that PR-perfect smile, the one that could charm a room full of CEOs. She kissed me, her perfume sharp with bergamot, and dropped her bag on the counter, right next to the cup. "Long day?" I asked, leaning against the island, my voice casual. "Brutal," she sighed, kicking off her shoes. "This client's driving me nuts. How was Orlando?" "Same old. Nerds, PowerPoints, warm beer." I nodded at the cup. "Whose coffee? Evan, huh? Not your style." Her eyes flicked to the cup, then back to me, quick as a glitch. "Oh, that," she said, laughing softly. "One of the interns left it here. We had a team huddle this morning. Oat milk's their thing." She shrugged, already scrolling her phone, but I caught the tension in her jaw, the way her fingers tightened on the screen. It was a good story. Sarah was a pro, always ready with a pitch. But interns didn't come to our condo, and she hadn't mentioned any meetings. I smiled, let it slide, and we talked about nothing weather, dinner plans until she went to bed. I stayed up, the cup still on the counter, Evan's name burning into me like a bad line of code. The next morning, I started debugging. Sarah was at spin class, so I had the condo to myself. I checked her planner, left open on the dining table. Her handwriting was neat, all meetings and deadlines, but one entry stood out. E. Rooftop 8. Every Wednesday for the past month. No details. I cross-checked her phone's calendar, same deal. E. At the same time, tagged at the Standard, a swanky hotel bar. She'd never mentioned drinks there, and Sarah loved bragging about her client hotspots. I moved to her socials. Her Instagram was a curated flex. Rooftop selfies, campaign launches, girl boss vibes. But her stories showed a pattern Wednesday nights at the Standard. Always solo, always captions something vague like, "chasing the vibe." I scrolled her followers, looking for an Evan. One guy stood out. At Evan Callister, a private account with a bio that read, "Investor, Adventurer, Miami Nights." He'd liked her last 10 posts, commented on only a shot of her at the Standard with, "killing it blank." She'd replied with a heart emoji. Subtle. I didn't want to believe it. Sarah was intense, sure, but loyaler, so I'd thought. She was the one who'd planned our anniversary trip to Key West, who'd leave post-its with dumb jokes on my monitor. But that cup wasn't a post-it. It was a warning. I checked her laptop, password still our first date. Her emails were clean, but her browser history showed searches for the Standard Miami events and, weirdly, vintage watches. Sarah didn't wear watches, but I filed it away. I needed more than hunches. On Wednesday, Sarah said she was meeting a client at the standard same time as her E entry. I didn't call her out. Instead, I borrowed a coworker's black sedan less obvious than my white Tesla and followed her. Miami's neon streets pulsed with life, the air heavy with salt and reggaeton from passing cars. She parked at the standard, stepped out in a red dress that screamed confidence, and went inside. I waited, parked a block away, my pulse syncing with the city's rhythm. She didn't come out for 3 hours. When she did, a guy was with her mid-40s, tailored blazer, dark hair, the kind of smug grin that screamed money. They didn't touch, but their body language was too easy, too familiar. I snapped a photo, zoomed in, definitely Evan from his Instagram profile pic. I drove home, the city lights blurring, my anger a tight knot in my chest. Back at the condo, I got technical. I'm a coder, not a hacker, but I know my way around a system. I installed a location tracker on her phone, hidden in a fake app update. It confirmed she was at the standard every Wednesday, staying late, leaving alone. I also checked her credit card, 120 at the standard last week, 300 at a jewelry store I didn't recognize. A gift, maybe, but not for me. I found a receipt in her car, tucked in the glove box. 2 martinis at the standard, dated last Wednesday. Bartender's name, Lila. I went to the bar the next night, found Lila, and played the worried husband. My wife was here, I said, showing Sarah's photo. She okay? Saw her with someone. Lila nodded, wiping a glass. Blonde, right? Yeah, she's a regular with that guy. Investor type, always in a blazer. They're tight. I tipped her, 30 and left, my hands shaking. I started asking around. Our doorman, Carlos, mentioned seeing Sarah with a guy in a fancy watch a few weeks ago, dropping her off after some event. I forced a laugh, said it was probably a client, but my stomach churned. Then I called Sarah's coworker, Mia, under the guise of planning a surprise party. Mia was chatty, oblivious. Sarah's been killing it, she said. She's always with that investor Evan, something. Big campaign. I thanked her, my beer going flat. The evidence was piling up, but it wasn't just about proof. I was unraveling, caught between fury and doubt. I kept seeing Sarah's smile, the one that lit up our condo, now aimed at him. I wasn't sleeping, the Miami heat pressing in, the ocean's hum outside our balcony mocking me. Where had I gone wrong? Was I too buried in code, too predictable? Sarah thrived on attention, on being the star of every room. Maybe Evan was her spotlight, a thrill I couldn't match, but that didn't make it right. I got lucky one morning. Sarah left her work bag open, and inside was a small velvet box from the jewelry store. I opened it, a vintage men's watch, engraved with EM. Not for me. I snapped a photo, put it back, and sat there, the AC's hum drowning out the world. This wasn't a mistake. This was a plan. The moral weight hit me like a bug in production. I could confront her now, blow it all up. But what came next? Divorce? Revenge? I didn't want to be the guy who burns his life down, but I couldn't be the one who ignores it, either. Sarah wasn't just cheating, she was building a new story, one where I was the extra. I was done with that role. I started planning, not just to catch her, but to make her see me, the guy she thought she could outsmart. The coffee cup, the watch, the texts, they were my stack trace, and I was following it to the crash. Miami's heat hadn't let up, the August air heavy with humidity and the weight of my discoveries. I'd spent a week debugging Sarah's betrayal her oat milk latte cup labeled Evan, the vintage watch engraved with his initials, the GPS logs pinning her at the standard every Wednesday, and the bartender's confirmation of her tight connection with an investor. My evidence was a kill switch, texts, a receipt, a blurry photo of her with him, and Carlos's remark about the guy in a fancy watch. But catching her wasn't enough. I needed Sarah to face the glitch she'd coded into our marriage, to see the husband she thought she'd outrun. I planned the confrontation like a software patch, clean and targeted. No messy fights in our condo, no public scenes. I chose the Standard's rooftop bar, her Wednesday haunt, where she thought she was untouchable. I told her I'd be in Fort Lauderdale for a late client meeting, but suggested meeting her for drinks after her client dinner. Let's make it a date, I said, watching her over breakfast. Her smile was PR perfect, but her fingers twitched on her coffee mug, like she was running error checks. "Love that," she said, and I knew she thought she dodged me. She hadn't. That morning, I finalized my stack trace. The coffee cup, saved in a Ziploc for effect, the jewelry box with the watch, printed texts, GPS screenshots, the martini receipt, and Evan's Instagram post from the Standard, captioned, "Nights like these." I added a screenshot of her calendar, those rooftop, 8 entries, circled in red. It was overkill, but Sarah was a master of spin. She'd pivot to, "It's just work if I left her an out." I wasn't here to debug half the system, I was here to crash it. The day crawled, the Miami heat pressing against our condo's glass walls like it was testing my resolve. I kept replaying our marriage, looking for the bug I'd missed. Was it when I started working remote, glued to my screens while she dazzled clients? Or when her PR firm landed that big account, her ego outgrowing our 2-bedroom? Sarah lived for the spotlight, the pitches, her Instagram, her ability to make anyone feel like the center of the world. Evan, with his investor cash and tailored blazers, was probably her latest audience, a stage I couldn't offer. That didn't make it hurt less, it made me want to rewrite the code. I dug deeper into Evan, needing to know the guy who'd hijacked my life. His LinkedIn screamed privilege, venture capitalist, Miami native, passionate about disruptive startups. His Twitter was less polished posts about yacht parties, crypto bets, and, crucially, a photo at the Standard, arm around a woman who wasn't Sarah, captioned, "Living the dream," dated 2 months ago. So he was a serial player, not a romantic. That should have eased the sting, but it didn't. Sarah wasn't chasing love, she was chasing status, and I was the collateral. I called her assistant, Priya, under the guise of checking her schedule for a weekend trip. Priya was bubbly, clueless. "Sarah's been so busy," she said. "Always with that investor, Evan McAllister, for the new campaign. They're like besties. Besties." I thanked her, my grip tight on the phone, and hung up. The word burned, but it was another commit to my evidence log. By afternoon, I was restless, pacing the condo, the ocean's hum outside our balcony a low-grade taunt. The moral dilemma was frying my circuits. Confronting her would feel like a clean compile, but what came after? Divorce was the default, but did I want to wipe 6 years over a fling? Or was this about pride, about proving I wasn't the guy she could debug with a smile? I could tank her career leak, the texts to her boss, her clients, but that felt like malware, and I wasn't that petty. Or was I? The heat blurred everything, like the truth was overheating. I got to the Standard early, taking the elevator to the rooftop bar. The place was pure Miami, open air, string lights, turquoise pool glowing under the night sky. The humidity clung to my skin, the reggaeton beat pulsing low, the city's neon skyline a jagged promise below. I picked a high-top table near the edge, private but with a clear view of the entrance, and ordered a gin and tonic. My satchel sat heavy on the chair, the evidence inside like a loaded script waiting to run. Sarah arrived at 8:15, a vision in a black jumpsuit, her hair swept up, a martini already in hand. She spotted me, waved and sauntered over, all confidence and charm. "This is a vibe," she said, kissing my cheek, her perfume sharp as ever. "Missed you, Nate." Her voice was warm, but I caught the edger performer clocking the stage. We ordered another round. She stuck with martinis. I switched to bourbon and made small talk. She was flawless, spinning stories about her client's latest tantrum, her laugh bright as the string lights. But I saw the tells, the way her eyes darted to the bar, the slight tap of her heel under the table. She was running a program, and I was about to throw an exception. "Found something at home," I said, sliding the coffee cup across the table, Evan's name bold in Sharpie. Her smile flickered just for a nanosecond. "Not yours, right?" She laughed too smooth. "God, Nate, you kept that. It's the interns, I told you. You're so extra." Her tone was playful, but her fingers tightened on her glass. A bug in her code. "Extra?" I leaned back, sipping my bourbon. "Thought so too." Then I found this. I set the jewelry box down, the watch gleaming inside. "And these." I opened the satchel, spreading the texts, GPS logs, receipt, and Evan's post like a bad hand in poker. Her face didn't move, but her eyes widened. A crash in progress. "What is this?" she hissed, her voice low, scanning the rooftop for eavesdroppers. "You're stalking me? That's pathetic, Nate." Pathetic? I kept my voice steady, but I leaned in, letting her feel the heat. "No, Sarah. Pathetic's lying to my face while you sneak off with Evan McAllister. The Standard, every Wednesday. I've got your calendar, your texts, even Lila the bartender knows you're tight. Want to spin this one?" Her jaw clenched, and for a moment, I thought she'd bolt. But she stayed, her eyes blazing. "You're blowing this up," she said. "Evan's a client, a connection. You're too busy coding to get how my world works. This," she gestured at the papers, "is nothing." "Nothing?" I laughed, sharp and cold. "You bought him a watch, Sarah. Engraved. You're not closing deals, you're closing me out. What is it? His money? His yacht? Or just the rush of screwing over the guy who trusted you?" She flinched, but she didn't break. "You're twisting this," she said. "Yes, I've been with him. It's not what you think, it's networking leverage. You wouldn't understand, Nate. You're too comfortable." Comfortable? The word cut deeper than I expected. "That's what you call the guy you're betraying? I've got your whole playbook here. You're out of moves." The bartender glanced our way, sensing the static, but I waved him off. Sarah sipped her martini, her eyes locked on mine, calculating. "What do you want?" she said finally. "A divorce? To ruin me? Go ahead, Nate. You're not the hero you think you are." "I want the truth," I said. "No PR spin, no charm offensive. You owe me that." She leaned back, crossing her arms. "Fine. I've been seeing Evan. It's not love, it's opportunity. You're too safe to get it." Opportunity. The word landed like a syntax error, but I didn't flinch. I'd crashed her system, forced the truth, but it didn't feel like a clean compile. It felt like a core dump, raw and messy. We sat in silence, the reggaeton fading into the humid night, the pool's glow casting shadows on her face. I could have walked away, left her with the evidence and the bill. But part of me needed more, not an apology, but a why. Was it really opportunity, like she said, or was she chasing a version of herself I couldn't see? I thought about our early Daisha dragging me to dive bars, her laugh when I butchered a karaoke song. Where had that Sarah gone? "You could have told me," I said, quieter now. "If you needed more, you didn't have to rewrite us." She looked away, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "You wouldn't have heard me," she said. "You never do." It stung, because there was a bite of truth there. I'd been distracted, consumed by my own scripts. But that didn't justify her. Nothing did. I closed the satchel, left the coffee cup on the table. "Keep your opportunity," I said. "But don't expect me to debug it for you." I stood and walked out, the rooftop's lights fading behind me, the Miami night swallowing me whole. The city felt alive, its pulse daring me to choose. Divorce was the cleanest exit. But did I want to reboot entirely? I could fry her career, send the texts to her firm, expose her to Evan's circle. Or I could walk away, rewrite my own code, build a life that didn't crash on her lies. The watch's weight in my pocket was a reminder, not of her, but of Meathy guy who'd caught the bug and wasn't afraid to fix it. I kept walking, the neon skyline flickering, and felt the first spark of something new, not victory, but freedom.